Hello, I'm Gene Collier, and welcome to the Covenant Cafe. Remember, cafe is connecting, adventure, fellowship, and education. I really enjoyed hearing Ron and Chris performing last week, and this week promised to be as good. This evening we're live from the kitchen of Covenant Presbyterian Church, and our special guest is our own chef, Jim Eaton. Jim will be preparing a main course and a dessert. I hope you're following along at home and will try to follow the recipe, but if you're not, enjoy Jim's presentation. If you have a question, please type it into the comments box and we'll try to get an answer. So Jim, are you ready?
Yes, sir. Good evening. I want to welcome you to Covenant. As always, we're going to do two recipes tonight. Hopefully you got them. They're both French. I picked them to be fairly easy. The one is fish in parchment paper. Saying that, you can get your parchment paper at Kroger, either at a 12 by 24 piece, or you can buy it at Sam's in large sheets, or you can go to your local pampered chef and get it already in bags. Those are just some of the ways you can do it. If you cannot find those, you can use aluminum foil or a brown paper sack. It does not matter. The brown paper sack will give it more of a wood flavor. Then in aluminum foil, you've got to really oil it up to keep it from burning. I have my daughter as my assistant tonight, Elizabeth. She will be in the background. We're going to use wine instead of the lemon juice as the recipe calls for. Number two, in the recipe it says olive oil. It doesn't tell you where to put it. Put it on the parchment paper. Some on each one, that way it keeps it from sticking. First of all, I'm going to show you how to do some of the vegetables. The vegetables say cut it in matchstick form. You do not have to cut it in matchstick form as long as it's nice and thin. Okay? You can use any kind of vegetable you want. You don't have to use these. You decide to put olive oil and capers and olives in the mix, that's fine. It leaves it open to interpretation of what you want. You can use salmon, cod, tilapia, any other kind of fish that you can think of. Also, you can use seafood, shrimp, scallops, mussels, etc. in the mix. The same way, it just takes a little longer for those to cook. I'm going to show you some easy way to cut some vegetables. First of all, zucchini, 60% water. So you want to get the water out of it. One is to cut one end of it off, like so. Cut it in half, stand it up, cut one side down, the other side down, one around, just like that. That is all the water. Okay? That is all the water in the zucchini. That's just pure water. It says to cut it in matchsticks. So to cut it in matchsticks, you'd measure the length of a matchstick, which would be like so, and then like so, with the tip of your knife, where it looks like that. I like, personally, to turn it on a 45-degree angle, and cut it like this, and I'm kind of getting the same thing without having to, that extra step of cutting that extra off of there. Okay? Once you cut it, you can take it and put it in your bowl. It doesn't take long. And when you handle a knife, hold the ends like this and your hand over it. Don't put your finger up here because it's going to wobble around. Okay?
Show us that again, Chef.
When you cut with a knife, grab it here, a thumb on one side, finger on the other. Where you got more control of the knife, you put your finger here like this, it's going to move back and forth. Okay?
If I may mention while you're doing that, if somebody may have missed it, if you have a question, type it into the comment box and we'll see if we can get you an answer.
All right. On a pepper, either a red pepper, green pepper, it doesn't matter which color. A lot of people cut the pepper in half. just take your knife, start it at the top, move it around the circle, and all the inner skin will come off. Okay? It makes it a lot easier. And if you do have an inner skin on the inside, just take it out. Okay? I like to do the same thing. Is just cut it in a matchstick. No. And don't cut your pepper skin side up, because it's too hard to cut. You got to push it, turn it over, and it's easier to cut. Same as I've got matchsticks now without having to make a matchstick. Okay? So it's very easy. And another thing is to roll your fingers up like this and put the knife up against it. That way you're not cutting your finger. Okay? Celery. I like cutting my celery on an angle. The way it looks a little nicer. Same kind of method. Down. It goes through and it's on a bit of a matchstick, because matchstick celeries are very hard to cut. And by cutting it smaller, you do not have to peel the celery. Celery has strings in it. I don't know if you can see that or not. It has strings in them, and they get in your teeth a lot. It makes it very hard to work with. And the recipe calls for onions. I don't want to use a yellow onion or a green onion. I mean a yellow onion or a Spanish onion or a Vidalia onion. I'm going to use green because I think green has a little bit better flavor for the fish itself. And I'm only using 3. And kind of doing the same thing. I'm going to cut it on an angle. And it also gives it a color. As you can see there. Okay? Now that we've got our vegetables cut up, I use bags of carrots from Kroger. Saying that, if you don't feel like cutting all this stuff up, you can go to Kroger and buy a fajita mix, which already has it done up for you. And even with the fish, if you don't want to spend your time going to the fish market, having it cut for you, or Kroger or whatever, go to Earth Fare, and they have the fish with the butter already on it. You don't have to make your butter. You can buy which kind of fish you like. They're already made up for you. Okay? And this is what our mixture will look like prior to putting it in the parchment paper. Okay? Now we're going to switch to the fish. As you can see, I cheated. I got a clean cutting board already. I went to Sam's and bought whole piece of Norwegian salmon, skin off, okay? You want to make sure that your fish pieces are usually about the same ounces apart. The recipe calls for 6, but if you want 8 ounces, do 8-ounce fishes, make sure that they're all about the same size. Again, I like to cut mine on a little bit of an angle. And if you notice, I didn't cut the tail, because the tail's going to weigh about as much as one of these full fillets are across the board. Okay? I've got a wet soapy rag here where I can wipe my fish hands off with and go from there. Now we're going to put these together. They are very simple. The original French paper was cut in the shape of a heart. It's supposed to be for a great dish with friends or wherever, as like Valentine's Day. Okay? And I also, yesterday, made my compound butter. There it says to make your butter and just scoop it on the recipe. You can make your butter 6-8 months ahead of time and put it in the freezer. Put it in the refrigerator. It doesn't matter. Okay? I just wrapped it in paper in a piece of plastic. Stay nice. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to put some, hold my paper back, put some vegetables in there, like so. I've already put a little bit of salt and pepper and a little bit of lemon juice on my vegetables. Okay? Now I'm going to put a piece of fish. Sorry for going away from the camera. I'm going to put a piece of fish right on top. Okay? Then I'm going to put, it says lemon juice or wine. I'm going to use wine. And if I remember right, it says a tablespoon or a teaspoon of wine. I'm going to use the cap. The reason you put the liquid on there is for steam. Okay? Then I'm going to cut the butter put a piece right on top. Take the paper over. Here comes the trick. You need to roll your paper all the way around so it's nice and tight all the way to the vegetables. Now, your paper can be a little bit smaller if you want. Okay? Roll it all the way around. Make sure it's in there nice and tight. Like so. Place it on your sheet pan. I'm going to do a couple more to show you exactly how it's done. Again, the vegetables on it. And the recipe says to divide it in 4, but you can make as many vegetables as you want. Save them and do them another day. This is very simple. If you forget a step in the process, don't worry about it. Okay? It's not like baking, where baking is a science. Cooking, you can always add something to it. Okay? In the oven here at church, we'll cook at 50 degrees higher than yours at home. If you have a convection oven with the fan in the back, make sure you cut, the recipe says for 400. Unless your oven is automatic and drops the temperature down, put it down to 350. Put it down to 350, and that way it will won't burn on you. Okay?
Chef, if I could ask you a question while you're doing that. You're using salmon.
Yes, sir.
What other fish would you recommend, and what fish would you not recommend?
Tilapia I wouldn't recommend unless you really like it. Cod, you can buy cod, frozen fillets, and just unthaw them, which would be fine. Or you can get sea bass, any kind of firm fish that you think would work. Any kind of fish you like. It doesn't have to be just look. And you can add as much seasoning to this thing as you want. Like if I wanted more salt and pepper for this one, done deal. You don't have to, it's to your taste, yours at home. You're not doing it for a customer, so it's your what you would like to make it out of. Okay? You can see how it rolls up, like so. I got a leaky bag on one of them. I'm going to have to redo it in another bag. Got a leaky bag.
What's wrong with that?
All your moisture will leak out and your fish will not steam then. Okay? And then you just roll it up again. I'm going to re-roll that one. That way, it always happens. Now, at the Hotel Roanoke, we used to make these up, but we would not add the wine and stuff into them until after they were cooked. We sent it out to customers. We used to do them like this, and then we cut the bag, and then they'd put a little bit of wine on it, because we'd make them up a day ahead. Refrigerate them, and the bag will begin to leak on you if you don't get them up nice and tight.
Yeah, it's too cold.
Just turn it over.
I think that needs some more wine.
No, I think it's drunk enough. Like I say, you can use linen, and you don't have to use wine if you don't feel like it. If you use the wine, use a dry wine. Okay, don't use a sweet one. Okay? You can use dry dill. You don't have to use fresh dill. You can use any kind of seasoning you would like, whether dry or otherwise. The trick in these is, usually takes about 10 to 12 minutes to cook. The paper will turn brown. When you see the paper turning brown, it's usually done. Okay? Now I'm going to throw these in this noisy oven. As you can see, it didn't take me that long to do that.
What's the temperature of the oven again?
I got this oven at 350 because it's got a fan in it.
And
The recipe calls for 400. That's a commercial home oven.
how long we leave it in there?
The recipe says 12 to 15 minutes or somewhere around in there, I think, or 15 to 20. 15 to 20. Okay.
That's special butter. Can you walk through again what's in that again?
Okay, all I did with the butter is on the recipe, it calls for parsley, dill, garlic, salt, and pepper. Take your butter and let it sit out 3 or 4 hours to become pliable room temperature. Okay? Once that gets to room temperature, you can go ahead and roll it up, mix it up, put it in a piece of plastic and throw it in the refrigerator.
How would that be on a steak?
Oh, it'd be perfect on a steak.
Also,
You can even put Dijon mustard in it for a steak. Anything that you can think. Don't add a whole bunch of liquid to the butter unless it's firm like Dijon mustard, because the butter becomes too loose. We used to put wine in it, but the butter would break on you.
if that isn't spoken for, I'll make it go away.
All right. The dessert. The dessert is very easy. We're going to make a little bit of noise now. I'm sorry. We're going to take and look our egg whites, which calls for 4 egg whites. This does not have cream or tartar in it, because cream or tartar sometimes has a taste with it that you do not want for it. Because these are going to be very easy. And our cream anglaise or custard sauce, or whatever you want to call it, is basically Haagen-Dazs vanilla ice cream. Heat it up. If you want to thicken it up, we're going to add an egg yolk to it, turn it to thicken it up just a hair from the eggs we got left over. Okay? First of all, we're going to whip these up to where they have soft peaks, and then we're going to add a half a cup of sugar to it. This is not a sweet dessert now. So, in the process. Sorry for the noise. You can see they're already starting to turn a creamy color. Starting to get peaks already. Now we're going to add a little bit of sugar at a time. Sugar in the tightener will help tighten it up. Your egg whites are at room temperature when you go to beat them, or they're not going to beat up.
Say that again, please.
You want to make sure that your egg whites are at room temperature, because they're easier to whip. If they're cold, you're going to be forever trying to whip this up. Okay? Then your ramekin, you want to use a ramekin that is microwavable. Okay? Then you want to soak your ramekin with a little bit of ham. Some kind of spray. See how the peaks are on that?
Wow.
That's what you want to get with your egg whites when you get them whipped up. Okay?
Who gets the beater?
Now we're gonna go. We were kids long ago. We used to eat raw egg whites in cookie dough and stuff, but yeah, make me get it off, so I leave it on there. Okay. I have heated my vanilla ice cream up, and I see it's a little too thick. I don't want to burn it by leaving it on there, and I don't want it too hot. Same with egg yolk. I don't want to put egg yolks into it when it's really, really hot. This is very warm. As you can see, I put my hand on it. Okay, I'm going to put.
It's too thin.
It's too thin. I'm going to put two egg yolks in it. Then I'm going to whip it up a little bit and put it back on the stove. And heat it up. Okay? Should be thick enough. If not, I'll add another egg yolk to it. Okay? Now, the floating island desserts go in the microwave for 30 to 40 seconds, depending upon how hot your microwave is and how it works. Okay? All you do, take your egg white. I've got my ramekins already oiled. I put my egg whites in each one.
Wow, look at that peak. It's like Dairy Queen.
Now you can do your dessert while your fish is in baking. Okay? As you see, we whipped our egg whites up. Got them in our ramekins. Good to go. I'm going to plate it up, set it off to the side, and then we're going to present it here to you, both of them. When we're done, you can see both of the items clearly. Okay? My fish has been in about 8 minutes. Okay? Not quite ready yet. How's that? Thicken it up?
No.
There we go. We'll put all the egg yolks in. Tighten it up. The egg yolks will make it more custardy. Theoretically, you're making a custard. And I'm going to decorate mine with a little extra fresh fruit. And I made some candied pieces which are just melted sugar. Okay?
So what again? Sorry.
It's just melted sugar.
Melted sugar.
Yeah, I just browned it up. It's just melted sugar. Okay? All right, I'm going to stick these in the microwave to show you exactly what they look like. Okay? I have not tried this microwave, so we're going to wait and see what it looks like when it comes out here. Hopefully they're right. Okay? Luckily, the microwave has a light in it, and I can see for sure how they're turning. Let me get out of the way there for... they're starting to rise now. I can see them in there. Getting bigger. Hopefully you can see them in there. You'll see them when I take them out.
You can see them.
Okay? This is an exciting dish to do for young kids because they can watch the microwave and see the egg get bigger and bigger and bigger. That's 40 seconds. We're going to put a little bit of sauce in the bottom of the bowl. Okay. Turn it upside down on top. Going to put a few strawberries on it. Our fish has been in just about 10 minutes now. That's what the dessert will look like when we're done. We will show you it completely done out of the way on here. Okay? We're going to change and put the tablecloth on here so you can see it a little bit better. Okay? All right, let's see what this fish looks like. I'm going to give it fish about 2 more minutes, and then we'll be ready for that. Gene, do you have any questions?
No, you've been very thorough, Chef.
Now, when you have guests over and you want to impress them, you can do this, and then you can also present it at the table, right with the parchment paper on it. And basically what we're going to do, and you got one there, right? There's one right. I got two more coming out.
Again, if any of you have questions out there, please type them into the comments box.
All right, let's pull our fish out. I'm going to take one, and you're going to take a pair of scissors. Try not to burn yourself unless you know the number for 911. Okay? There's your fish, your vegetables, and everything all ready to go. And you can see, the recipe was very easy to work with. It doesn't take much time and very little skill to handle it. Your biggest issue would be finding parchment paper, which you know you can get at Kroger. And if you do not like to get your fish like so, you can buy it at Earth There. There is a Captain Paul Seafood in town if you wanted to get fresh fish from there. I bought all my vegetables from Kroger. I bought my salmon from Sam's, due to the fact of the date that was on it. Any questions, please refer them to Gene or anybody else, or we can take a few questions right now if you like.
So you're going to garnish that with
I can put some more fresh, you can put fresh dill on it too when you're done, like so. But with the compound butter that's on there, it has a nice garnish piece on it. Hopefully you enjoyed tonight's segment.
So you serve that on the plate in the parchment paper?
Yes, sir.
Okay, don't take it out. Okay.
Don't take it out because it's a showstopper. It shows, oh, hey.
Definitely different.
Yeah, and people would say, oh man, that looks difficult, and it's really not. It's fairly easy. Okay? Again, hopefully you enjoyed tonight's segment. Maybe we can do it again sometime soon. Thanks again for your time.
Jim, that looks really good. Thank you for sharing your talent, your experience, and your expertise with us this evening. Again, the smells are incredible. Sorry you can't be here to appreciate that. But this has been really good, and I hope you enjoyed the presentation and maybe learned something. And there's more. Do not forget this Friday evening.